Another negative open. For a look at the trading day ahead, we go now to Chicago, and we're joined by Todd Horwitz, Chief Strategist at BubbaTrading.com. Todd, great to see you again. You said in a recent note that markets are looking for a reason to go lower. Are they finding that reason in Donald Trump and his pronouncements from the White House these days?
Good morning, Paul. I don't think it's Donald Trump. If we go back in history, you look at this whole big rally, the economic data has been fairly bad, in my opinion. I think that we haven't seen any real growth. I think what we're seeing now, though, is that the growth that Donald Trump wants to bring in is not going to be quite as easy as they're saying that it's going to be able to get. In other words, the pipeline, that's not going into play tomorrow. It's a whiles away. I don't think Congress is going to be so cooperative with him on his new bills. So overall, it's going to take time to get the growth coming back. But I think there's another event that I don't think anybody can define right now, and it'll be more of some geopolitical risk that something would happen, because I think the markets, if you watch how they're trading with so much complacency, they're really waiting for a reason to go down. And this cycle occurs typically at the end of markets when they're getting ready to make a correction. We don't get the big moves higher. We're going to look for a bigger move lower, but it may take time before it shows up.
So what do you make of the VIX? The VIX last week was almost at a historic low. That's not indicative of the market you just explained. Do you think the VIX is going to scream higher in the next few weeks, or what's going on with the VIX?
I don't know if it's the next few weeks, but I will say this. The VIX is obviously a complacency gauge right now. Everybody knows the markets are never going to sell off again. Just continue to buy. I think that the VIX will go much higher. In fact, just to your point, the last 45 days has been, in history, the lowest amount of volatility in the tightest trading range. Okay, so again, what that really indicates is that the markets are going to break out big one way or the other. Now, I don't see them breaking out big to the upside. I don't think there's enough good economic data to support it. I don't think that the technicals support it. I think basically the next big move will be lower, but of course, it could be 6 months from now. I can't say it'll be this week, but I think volatility, you'd want to be owning volatility in this area right here.
Another thing is we've got the Fed meeting this week, and it seems that everyone's forgotten that, caught up in the events from Washington. This has been called also the last boring Fed meeting, is expecting nothing to come out of this. When do you expect the Fed to act next?
I would not be surprised if they act tomorrow. I don't think, obviously nobody's planning on it, but they're in a position that they should be able to act if the economic data is so good. But the real problem that they have here is they can't seem to get the inflation up. And of course, we know that inflation is more really a hidden tax, so that the middle class can pay more taxes on what they own, so they can reduce those dollars that they're printing. So I think there could be an increase here sooner than we think. I think the markets are telling you, the bond markets certainly are telling you that they want interest rates to go higher, as we've watched the 10-year and the 30 continue to go higher each and every day. So I think overall there could be an increase coming tomorrow, not high probability, but I think for sure, if not this meeting, the next meeting, I do expect to see 3 increases this year at least.
The market has made big bets on what they assume is coming from Donald Trump and the Republican-led Congress on things like regulatory reform and infrastructure build. At some point, Donald Trump will have to join his Republican brethren in the House and the Senate in working on these things. How much support do you think he'll get? Will he get broad-based, wide support from both sections of Congress, both houses of Congress?
No, I don't think so. I think this is the rub here. This is the real problem. You can already see the troubles he's having now with some of the smaller things. These are big decisions that are going to be made, and of course, the biggest problem with the government today is that both sides are whacked out. They're both in it for themselves and not for what's best for the country. So really, what you're looking for is, I don't think the Congress is going to support everything he wants to do. I think they're going to make it challenging, especially if some of those Republican congressmen are up for a tight election coming up in the next election. So I think Donald Trump is doing a phenomenal job, and I think he's going to do a great job, but he's got to get some help now, and I don't know that help will be so readily available. I mean, they're looking at talking about 4% growth. There's no way we see 4% growth this year, maybe in a couple of years, but he's got to get a lot of help from these people to get these projects off the ground, and I don't see it right now.
Do you see any areas of value in U.S. stocks, or are you simply standing back right now?
Well, I think, I'm always invested. I always hedge my investments using options. But I mean, I think, you can look at some value in a lot of the soft goods, the grain area, those products, those suppliers, those manufacturers. I'm always looking for something that I think is a good company that's been pressed down and pretty much depressed. And those are what I'll be looking to buy as we go forward. The high flyers, the Amazons, the Googles, I think those are done for a while. I think they're going to start to come back. I think tech is a little bit overdone. And I certainly think the financials, although the regulation part is great, I think they've been way overdone to the upside as well.
Todd, always great to speak to you. Thank you very much.